I want to thank Lexi Claude for sharing those prayers, and for the singers for sharing those songs, and for grounding us. That was a perfect song for this Choma come here, and reminded us why we're here. So I just got now that we finished the prayer, that I found out that all these cameras, they're going live now. So Justin Puyer, you might want to adjust that medallion. Ryman LeBeau, get that top button fixed up, and if your war paint is all sweaty and smudged, you some more in the back over there. So, but just in that way, I want to welcome everybody here, and I want to thank the carving family that made the sacrifice to carve this, to acknowledge them, and I want to thank the organizations and the people that have been walking on this and taking care of this, because in order to make this happen, it takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of commitment, and there's all these different roles that people play in making something like this happen. There's the carvers, there's the prayers, there's the people who have to organize the resources, the media, and there's some organizations here that worked really hard to help make this happen. And so I wanted to acknowledge somebody who's a really special person to me, and I want to ask. She'll probably be mad if I call her Tui, because she calls me brother, but I see her as a Tui auntie. I want to acknowledge Judith LeBlanc from the Native Organizers Alliance, and Crystal Echohawk from Illuminative, and both of them are also part of the leadership in the board of Indian Collective, and the role that we play to help our community and our people, and as a man, I think I wanted to address something that we have to think about a lot of time as men, because we live in this society today that still tries to make women less than, when women is the one that derives life for our people. And we're in a time of deep empowerment of women, and I think it's something for us to think about, because sometimes as men we perpetuate that. And I work for an organization, Indian Collective, where 70% of the people who work there are women. And if you look at most of our ceremonies and most of the things that happen traditionally, they're not possible. They're not possible without women. And today you're going to be able to hear from some strong voices from women, and one of those voices is a relative that I want to invite up here at this time to share a few words as we get the day started. I want to ask Crystal Tubals to come up here and to share a few words about the work that's happening around land back, that she's leading both here in the Black Hills and throughout Indian country. So Crystal Tubals, everybody.
Piveshev, Mayne Wo Statnanehev. My name's Crystal Tubals. I'm Oglala Lakota, Northern Cheyenne. And just also want to echo what Nick said and just welcome all of our Lummi relatives and our relatives that represent the different nations across Turtle Island. It's really an honor to be here and to be able to host you. And I know a lot of love and time and energy went into putting this together to host. And so, just also want to acknowledge the Indian Collective team that sacrificed a lot and like really put love into this. And I hope everyone feels that and feels the joy that came into this whole event. Also, just a quick announcement that we do have a massage therapist here. And, as our carving relatives and those that have been on the road for days, I know you have thousands of miles behind you. And so just wanted to offer that as something for appreciation and to just care for you and to invest back and put back into. And we really were intentional about this stop and wanting it to be a place that's rejuvenating for you and that gives you energy as you continue on your journey. And so just want to offer that. It's not set up yet, but it will be set up probably in the back somewhere here in the next like half hour or so. So please take advantage of that, and get some rest and restorative energy back in you. Um, Also just want to introduce Land Back campaign a little bit in some of the work that we've been doing at Indian Collective. And that's we kind of took the lead on hosting, but there's every single one of our campaigns, our racial equity campaign, our education equity campaign, climate justice campaign, we're all rooted right here. We're all local, and organized locally. But Land Back campaign is one of those it's one of those narratives, those meta narratives, those big ideas and big concepts. And our action on July 3rd last year was the catalyzer that brought us to this moment. And we took a stand there and we prevented trespassing on our lands here. And prevented the president of the United States at that time from coming on our lands for I think 6 hours. And that was what gave us the energy. And afterwards, we had elders that came up to us and told us that they had given up on the Black Hills, and that action had actually revived and made it feel like it was possible again to reclaim our lands and to reclaim that relationship on these lands. And so from that energy and from those blessings and those prayers that people said for us on that day, we've built out a whole campaign. And land back is something that it doesn't belong to anybody. So even though we have a campaign that's called that, like, land back is something, and Nick always says that it's in the hearts and minds of every Indigenous person, right? Everyone that has that relationship to the land. And so we move that way and we operate that way. But the way that we exist within the larger movement of organizing is really trying to just do our best to show up and offer support to the larger movement and other communities that are organizing, and getting them the resources they need, the support that they need. If they need their stuff amplified, we try to show up the best way that we can. Even being silent partners, sometimes our relatives just need us to support and not be uplifted, and we do that work. We're also we work on our whole land back agenda. We know that we have to operate and move within policy, and within Washington D.C. And so we're working on a land back agenda that will be rolling out here soon. And then we also we have our whole narrative. Like, we want land back to be something that not just Indian country recognizes and understands, but that everyone understands, and that they support us in that work that we're doing. Then we just launched a Land Back University, like an online free university for folks to learn about this work that we're doing, but also learn about what is possible whenever we do reclaim our lands. Our first ones were around fire management, traditional fire management, and our relatives, our Salish and relatives that work with the fire and that are in relationship with that natural element. And so we had a whole course on that and presented that to the public for free. But we try to do our best to show up that way. And I think it's also important to name what land back is. I think that everyone understands it in their own ways. And for us, land back is the literal return of land. It is the literal reclamation of land. But it's also the reclamation of everything that was stolen from us when we were forcibly removed from the land. So our languages, our ceremonies, our culture, our spirituality, our ways of life, all based on our relationship to the land and to be there on the land. But also, like, our governing systems, our kinship systems, how we relate to each other, our education systems, our healthcare systems, all of these things, education systems, they're all based on our relationship to the land. And so Land Back fights for that, and we organize for that and support our relatives that are doing that work, all across Turtle Island and abroad. We're also a movement and a campaign that works with our Palestinian relatives, that works with our Black relatives, that works with our relatives who are named illegal. And so we try to reach out in those ways and find where we're connected and how we're connected and support each other in that way to move towards collective liberation, knowing that we need each other. to win. And also knowing that when indigenous peoples are back and related to our land and we reclaim our land, everyone benefits. All peoples benefit from us being in relationship to our lands. And that's evident. And I'm definitely thankful for where I come from. And I think about that a lot in terms of I grew up on northern Cheyenne in Lame Deer, Montana. And we have there was the proposed Otter Creek coal mine. So they were trying to develop that, and it would have ended up being the largest coal mine in the lower 48 states. But our people fought against that, and we used our ceremony and we prayed. And because of that, that coal mine has never been developed. That coal is still in our earth, and it's been over 40 years. And so thank you. There's been generations of organizing. My grandparents organized, my parents organized, and it was handed down to me. But because of our prayers, every so many years, these companies come in and want to develop. But because of our prayers, something happens. Maybe it goes bankrupt, or maybe they don't have the funding to support it, or they can't get the EIS statements approved, whatever it is. But that's because of our prayers. And that's what we believe in with the Land Back campaign. But one thing about Northern Cheyenne too, with our lands and our relationship to that, and what I think is so powerful is that our lands are, like 99% owned by Northern Cheyenne. We're not checkerboarded, and because of that, we have some of the highest water and air quality standards in the entire U.S. And I know that's a direct result of us being in relationship to the land and us being there to care for the land. And so I know that those things are possible. And I know that that is possible for all of our peoples, all of our nations to have that and to reclaim that. And so that's what we work towards. And that's what we, fight for. So instead of focusing on everything that we're fighting against, we try to stay focused on what we're fighting for. And this event is a testament to that, bringing us together this way to be able to find, our common ground and put our prayers together and to move that towards something. And so just again, want to echo and welcome everyone here. And I hope you feel the love and the good energy that we put into hosting this event. Yeah, Ish.
Hey, this guy's pointing over here. So welcome to everybody on Facebook. I don't have one. Uh, one thing I wanted to share is whenever the Lummi relatives arrived here last night, you could feel the heaviness that they're carrying, because I think that this spiritual journey, it it attracts a lot of energy. Just it attracts a lot of energy in different ways. You could feel that energy last night. And so um we we wanted to make a prayer. And so we went into Inipi last night. We looked at their security people. We knew that they were tired. We knew that our relatives were tired. So we fed them. We fed them. We said, hey, we'll bring this totem pole uh out to the Inipi, out to the Paha Sapa, and we'll go into the sweat and we'll pray. And so we did that to clear the air spiritually, to cleanse our relatives, to cleanse. So I wanted to share that. And there was also some warriors, Lakota warriors, who stayed with that totem pole all night. I wanted to acknowledge them too, because when they're coming to our territory, we wanted to make sure that what they brought here, that they felt that it was safe, that they felt it was taken care of. And so, these things go on behind the scenes, but this was been done in a ceremonial way, in a good way, to take care of our relatives. And uh, you know, last night when we prayed, and we smudged off this totem pole, I'm gonna call him my uncle, my Lexi Doug said, our family is getting bigger, is what he said. And that made me feel real good in my heart, because what we're doing here is building relationships between our nations and our people. And there's been a whole vision put into this of why it's happened. And so at this time, I'm going to ask Lakshia, Uncle Doug, to come. He's him and his brother are the ones that carved this. And I know it's his brother Jewel has been unhealthy, And so we prayed for him in the Inipi last night too. And I know it's a heavy heart on a lot of the travelers with the pole that Jewel's not here. And I know that our other relative, Emerson Gordon, went to go be with him this morning. And so, I wanted to ask Doug to come up here and to share a few words. And I want to ask while he's sharing a few words, if Ty, my Misu, my little brother Ty, could smudge off this chonwakan while he's talking.
Thank you, brother. Aich Quachil. Good morning to all of you. Sitki Kadam Sonasnat. My English name is Douglas James. My Stalis Siamowit. It brings us great honor to stand upon this land today. To stand here with the ancestors and with all of you, that we can mix our tracks together here today. And it is true, it feels like our family is growing. And that's kind of what this whole journey has been about now, is reaching out to one another. Ait swallowing means of one heart and one mind. And to accept each other for who we are as brothers and sisters. We can do powerful things if we stand united. And that's what this poll has been all about, is to bring us all together, that we can and will use our voices to speak out across this land. I want to thank the brothers and the sisters that shared the sweat last night and offered up the prayers for my brother Susiath, Jewel James. I want to thank our elder, Emerson Gorman, for getting on a plane this morning and flying back to Bellingham. Said, I'm going to go be with your brother, and I'm going to go show love and support for him. Emerson and my brother have been friends for a long, long time, brothers in this walk of life. And so I really appreciate the elder for doing that for us. It helps relieve our heart, because it's been heavy. Like I was saying, that this is our 20th year of bringing poles across this country. Crystal mentioned lame deer, and I was just flashing back that when we were going across cross country, 2 years in a row, we stopped in lame deer and just asked for permission to cross through their land. That we didn't want to disrespect anybody as we were going through their country. And so the second year we stopped in, and auto braided hair came to us and asked us again why we were stopping there. And so we explained to him, what we were doing, and why we were bringing poles across country. And that's when he asked us if we can do a pole for lame deer. And he says, well, we'll bring one next year for you. And we did. We brought that pole there, and we, I believe we stood it in Buick. Yeah, at the travel center there. And so, it's Lord has been doing with us, as he's just been using us to reach out. And every one of these poles were gifts. We didn't charge them anything for them, because it's just showing that we can come together and stand together in unity. And all these poles we're doing is reaching out and to lift each other up and let you know that we're standing with you no matter what we have to go through. We stand united together. And so I just want to give the credit and glory back to our Heavenly Father for allowing us a breath of time to come here today, that we can share this beautiful day here upon this beautiful land. This place here really reminds me of Bear's Years. we carved a pole for Bear's Ears 3 years ago and brought that right up to the plateau there. So I'd like to share with you about the pole. When Caleb, Freddie Lane, and Teresa Sheldon, they convinced my brother, that he had to do this. First time they asked him to carve a pole for them, he said no. And so they teamed up on him, and he caved in and called me. So what do you think, bro? You want to get to go look for a log and see if we can carve him a pole? And so we looked all over the place. We checked with forestry and all over the country. And when it came right down to it, Hoopa says, yeah, we got one down here in California if you want to come and get it. And it so happened that about 2 miles from home, a dear friend of ours, another carver, had this laying in his yard. And so he was working on the other half of it. And so we talked him into letting us purchase this 400-year-old Washington red cedar from him. And so we received the pole from him on February 4th. We loaded it up and brought it to the carving shop. And on February 7th, we started carving it. And April 21st, Freddie Lane comes up to us and says, yeah, we got a gathering. We got to load it up and take it down to Port Townsend. We're still painting on it and carving on it like that, but we're on the road already, rolling with it. And that's what we've been doing across country. We're still trying to finish up the last bit of touches on it, and so, but it's been one incredible journey, that we went out into the San Juan Islands, 5 islands that we hit out there. And we went down through the peninsula, went down the west coast all the way down to San Diego, and so we touched down wherever we touched down. The friendship, the love that we received from all the places that we touched was overwhelming. It's really incredible what the Lord can do, when He wants us to move. And that's kind of what's been happening. He put us upon His path here and allowing us to be here today. This 400-year-old tree, when we were in Yakima, we had an elder come to us there in Yakima, and he said the spirit that's in this tree has been telling him that when it was a sapling, it knew that it was going to be up here on our land here today. That was 400 years ago. It already knew where it was going to be and what its destination is. And it knew that it's going to be here today upon your land. So the confirmation of the spirit that's within this pole, this is a male cedar tree that was confirmed on the San Juan Island by an elder, that the spirit was telling her that the spirit that's within this pole is a male, and that it's watching over the female representation that's upon this pole here. Up on the top of the pole here is a full moon. When the moon is full here in the next few nights, you'll look up and you'll see an Indian sitting there with 2 feathers off his head, with his head bowed, and he's in prayer. And he's praying to the Creator to forgive them for not loving Mother Earth, that he's asking the Creator, that to please save the earth for the children. And it's for the children that we do what we do here today. It's for the children and the next 7 generations that are coming up behind us that are going to feel the impact if our voices aren't heard today, and that we don't use them to shout across this country. Because when we're long gone in dust, what are we going to leave our children? What kind of baton are we going to pass down to them? So we would like to make sure that we did the best that we could and left them something. So the representation of the man in the moon, that's what it is. Everything that's on this pole, my brother spiritually got vision of what's happening here. And then the second figure that came in was the eagle. And on the wings of the eagle is a representation of a salmon, coastal design. He said the eagle flies the highest, it sees the furthest, sees the past, present, and future, and carries the prayers up to the heavens. And he's also a powerful figurehead throughout all Indian country and all of our country here. We have a salmon underneath the eagle here, a Chinook salmon. And this one here, was representation, when we stopped at the Snake River dams and we had a gathering there, and that we were saying to breach the dams, allow the salmon to go back home, back up to where the rivers run cold and to where they can lay their eggs in that cool water up in the mountainside. And then on the other side, we got the bear, a transition bear here, and it's we call him the cedar bear. We have a sea wolf on the other side, and also another salmon. The sea wolf represents the orcas, and the salmon is their food. Saying if we can save the salmon, we can save the orcas. For these are the ones that don't have the voice, and it's up to us to speak for those that don't have the voice. We have a sister that's down there in this aquarium, and we found out when we were going to Standing Rock there for the first time that it was brought to our attention that this orca's been in that aquarium since she was 4 years old. And so she's been in that for about 55, 56 years now. She was captured when she was 4 years old out in the San Juan Islands, and along with 40 other babies that they took and sold throughout the country. And so all we've been asking is to let her go home. It's like the indigenous children that were taken from their families a long time ago. Well, the same thing happened to her. She was taken from her family, and her whole way of life was taken away from her. And they turned her into a showgirl. So that's what we're speaking up for now, is the ones that don't have that voice and crying out. She has been crying out spiritually, and there has been those that can hear her saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. Anybody help me go home? So up in the middle of the fins here is a copper plate, and that's tying together the Canadian ancestors and relatives up that way, and the Alaskan relatives, that represents, who they are and our connection to them. We have also, we also have a feather that was. My brother had this dream, and he shared it the next day after he had the dream about a feather. In the dream, he was riding with his cousin there, and the wind came up, and this feather came right up to his window like that, and it just fluttered in front of his window. And the cousin was saying, roll down your window and grab it, take its power, take its power. So he tried and tried and tried to get the window down, but it didn't happen. It wasn't meant for him to take the power, but it was just meant for him just to see the feather. When we got to Shalala Falls, we found out that a gentleman by the name of David So Happy had the power of the dancing eagle feathers. We were told when he would lay down his scarf there and unfold his feathers, uncover his feathers, and he would start singing and dancing. That these feathers literally stood up by themselves and danced all the time he was singing. And he said that he spun so fast you couldn't even see his feet moving. And so that gave him the confirmation, because from the time of our journey, he kept carrying 3 feathers in his drum. And he said, I don't know why I'm carrying 3 feathers, but when we got to Shalala Falls, we heard the story and he understood why he was carrying them 3 feathers, because David's so happy he had that power. David so happy also, was thrown in prison for supporting his family. And he was set up to, because across the river they were given a higher price for his fish. And so he decided, well, I'll go over there and sell my salmon for more than I would be on our own side. And when he got over there and did that, they grabbed him and arrested him and threw him in prison. And while he was in prison, he had 3 heart attacks. And by the time they released him, it was too late. He passed on. So as my brother Susias wishes that David so happy be exonerated. All he was trying to do was support his family. So that's why the feather is here on the side of the pole here. I'm going to let my stylist explain the grandmother and the little one here that's on the pole and the granddaughter that's on the other side.
Nount siam siamawit sanasnat. Exclamation. Ohilit quanaskyle atiakayas. I'm truly happy to be here today. My name is Siamawit and I'm from the Lemhi Nation. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here with our relatives here, carrying on in a good fight. And knowing that the indigenous people have become organized as one, as my husband always sings about, one heart, one mind, the song he learned from the whales. And we're practicing the indigenous way by just being united. In so many different ways, we've been separated from our own families, from our own traditions. But there's been some that held on and fought and wouldn't let go and stood strong, like as Sister Crystal mentioned, to fight back for the land. It must be done with prayer. It must be done with the understanding of who you are and where you come from. And that prayer way, that prayer life is the strength of the indigenous people, and the understanding that the Creator has always had a way with the indigenous people to strengthen them and keep them strong. The indigenous people are known as resilient, perseverant, and strong. That's why they're feared. That's why the indigenous people are feared. And the laws have not always been in favor of the indigenous people, and that has caused so much problems within each and every one of our families, with our ancestors, our grandparents. I think about sometimes the trauma within my own family. And sometimes I'm so humbled by that trauma to realize that I'm not even supposed to be here according to all of those effects of those traumas. But yet here I am standing strong. And here I see all of the relatives standing strong. And that shows our survival, and that shows our strength. And we're still fighting. We're still fighting for the right for our families to be safe, to be able to continue to exist and sing their songs and do their prayer life as their ancestors recognize. There's been so much intrusion on the Indian family in the Indian community that the laws have been set to divide. The laws in the past have been set to divide. And with the organization that's coming forth, those laws can be changed around so that we can stop all of the atrocities that have already happened. For example, the red hands on the moon represents the missing and murdered Indigenous women. The missing and murdered Indigenous women, those are our sisters, those are our daughters and our aunties that are missing and unaccounted for because the laws have not been strong enough to protect them. The laws as they stand right now, if somebody was to harm a sister, any harm, any high crime on the Indian reservation, the maximum that individual will get for that crime, 3 years. And that's through court negotiation, the court process. And they could only have a maximum of 3 cases. There are some people who do more harm than 3 cases at a time. So that means that the Indian land is not receiving justice when somebody comes onto the Indian land and harms the people. So what we want to see is some law change at the national level to protect the sisters. And also what we want to do is thank the new government that we're seeing a change in the United States government, that they are looking at this, especially Deb Haaland for her work and stepping forward to protect the missing and murdered Indigenous women. She's made a verbal commitment to that, an honorable commitment. She's also made a commitment for sacred lands protection. And she does, I don't believe that she's doing it just because she's Native and she's doing what a Native's doing. She's doing it what's right for the land, what's right for the people. All of the American citizens will benefit from protection of sacred places. All of the American people will benefit from having clean water. All of the American people will benefit from having clean air without toxics blown into the air through the fracking system. All Americans will benefit from having land that is not dug up for coal. There are indigenous in, how do we say it, Freddie? Indigenuality, meaning that we have wisdom, ancient wisdom. Freddie will bring out the ancestor, talking about the intelligence of the Native people that has been in this land for thousands and thousands of years. Our intelligence leads us to ways of being able to protect this land. We have ancient ways that we've been taught by ancestors how to protect the land. And all we're asking for is an opportunity to speak on that when we have an opportunity, when somebody wants to come near the sacred places, we want to have a voice in that matter and we want to say no. We want to have a right to say no. And no means no. No means no. Just like when a woman is being ready to be attacked and she says no. No means no. Stealing land, no. Taking the sacred places, no. We want to also thank it's hard to talk about this, but in Canada with the movement, the Truth and Reconciliation movement, and helping all of the relatives that lost Indigenous children to find their way back homes. All of us are affected by that. All of us who have relatives who have been in a boarding school. My own mother was in a boarding school. My own grandmother was in a boarding school. And even though I never been to a boarding school myself, I feel the trauma at what it was like to have parents that were unable to teach me in a traditional way because of the trauma that they experienced. And so gratefully, I have the aunties and those who were able to help me to survive with that separation, as many of us are doing. But we have more work to do. We have more work in this unity. We have more work to work cooperatively. We have to ask the government to understand that the indigenous voices have a place in a government. My brother-in-law will talk about how the United States Constitution was written under the model of the indigenous people. And that's why the United States government has more order when they conduct business than the European governments that are still conducting business over there with their ways. But right now, I just wanted to say thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing us to come here. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for all of the love. And yes, Crystal, we do feel it, and we want to thank you for that. Thank you for everything to all of our relatives here. We're very humbled by this time to be here. Haishka. Sister, will you tie this on to grandmother's hand in honor of our missing and murdered Indigenous woman right on her rattle? Yes. I'm gonna have you climb up there. Come up here by the ladder. In honor and missing and murdered Indigenous woman, grandmother prays for all of her children. Grandmothers are raising their grandchildren now because sometimes the women must leave the home because of abuse. Sometimes the women are unable to take care of their children because of that 7-generation trauma that we're all healing from. I myself was raised by a grandmother. So thank you, Crystal.
Okay, yeah, it's an honor to tie that on there. Just at this moment, as she was talking about women, just want to call forth, someone that I really look up to. And, Nick acknowledged her earlier as well. She's on our board and, someone that I've long had a lot of respect for. And we always run into each other in many different places, many different organized spaces. And I always really appreciate her knowledge and her sharing and the way she does things and how, everything that she does, it happens once she sets her intention that way and things just happen. Even just this like to DC, right? And it's a big undertaking, but anytime, Judith says she's going to do something, that happens. And so just want to call forward Judith and see if she can share a few words with us, about larger context of this and our relationship to each other.
He honey wash day. My name is Judith LeBlanc. I'm a citizen of the Caddo Nation of Oklahoma, and I have a Boston accent, which everybody teases me about, especially here. I'm the director of the Native Organizers Alliance, but really my hat is with NDN. It's my family. I told people last night, I smoked my first cigarette. Don't do that. But I smoked my first cigarette and I learned how to drive a truck at Pine Ridge. And I learned many more things about how to live, how to fight, how to show that we are stronger than everything that has been put up against us. And I want to say to the House of Tears, I am so honored and humbled to be a part of this journey. Freddie Lane called me in November and he said, we got to take a totem pole. We got to do this. And I said, Skoden, let's do it. And what we have done is to bring 17 nations together who've been working since the beginning of time to protect their sacred places. The Arctic, Mauna Kea, Bristol Bay, Thacker Pass, on and on. We have countless sacred places, but we brought 17 nations together with the power of this totem and the power and what the House of Tears has given to us as medicine. So I just want to say I am honored to be here in Sapa. I hold all of you in my heart as we ride those metal horses and in this spirit ride to DC. I believe that the impact that this movement is building is going to bring about transformational change. We're going to defend, but we're going to do more than that. We're going to develop. We're going to do more than that. We are going to indigenize. And when you have women, our women leading the Department of Interior, the National Parks Department, on every level, there are Indian women. You know what they told us this past week? They said, we thank you for this totem and this journey and coming to DC, because now people know Indian people, Indian women are a part of governing. Our voice not only counts, but it leads. So, thank you. Howie.
Judith was on point on her timing on that, in a good way. But now we have politicians coming up here. So, but we made it strategic that you have to speak in the sun. We figured if these half of them speak in the sun, it really shortens what they have to say. So, I wanted to share real briefly that this land that we're standing on here, this land was land that was reclaimed. It was reclaimed through the boarding school lands project when they started finding our children. And there's a big project happening here in the Paha Sapa in Rapid City to reclaim some of these lands. And this particular piece was a piece of land that was taken from us a long time ago and put into the government property. And then our people reclaimed it through their hard work and their sacrifice. And there's a woman who worked really hard named Heather Dawn Thompson to help make that happen, and a whole team of people that work with her. And whenever we needed a place to create a place for our unhoused relatives to be, it came to our attention that this land that we're standing on was reclaimed, and that it was put in title back to our people, and it was put in the title of 3 different tribes: the Oglala Sioux tribe, the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, and the Rosebud Sioux tribe. But here's the catch: on that title, it says on behalf of the Osheti Shakoi. And that's a huge political statement for our people, because here we have, grassroots efforts that helped reclaim this piece of land. Then you had official, federally recognized tribes hold title to it, but on behalf of the Osheti Shakoi, which is our traditional government. and so that's this place here is a result of all this work that we're talking about. It's not figurative. It's actually in action. And so we have members representing those three tribes here today. Some of the work that we're doing with the Indian Collective is working collaboratively with these tribes, and eventually, a few years from now, this land, this little area that we're on, is going to be a place that provides permanent supportive housing for our unsheltered relatives, to treat them like human beings and to take care of them. And there's a whole team of people that are working on that. So at this time, I was going to ask my Kahanshi, Ryman Lebeau, to say some words on behalf of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And I told them, it's okay. Most of the people here can't vote for you, so it'll be all right. You don't have to go on for too long. So at this time, if we could give a hand to my Kahanshi, Ryman Lebeau.
Omadaki api, Yuha, Chante Washten, Ape, Choose Apelo, Wichasha Yamani Macha, Bogo Wichasha Hemacha, District 5. I'm a councilman for Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, and I welcome the Lummi Nation. I welcome them for bringing our relative and sharing our relative with all of us. We say Dayan Yahi, and our prayers are going to be with you, and we're happy that you brought this to our sacred homelands here in Paha Sapa. And I thank the Indian Collective for inviting me. I really like coming to meetings like this with where we're going to learn something. We're going to do something. And at this meeting, we're hearing from our relatives from the Lummi Nation, and they brought their relative with us to us. So we're happy and we're thankful for what they're doing. And so with these meetings, I know Nick said that you can't vote for me. So, but hey, we're gonna change that. I got a resolution, so we're gonna take that back to our next council session. But yeah, this is actually my first time coming out here, and it's pretty nice when you come out here. You drive through Rapid, and then you take a couple rights and a left, and pretty soon you're not in Rapid no more. You're in Paha Sapa. So that was a real treat for me, a real eye opener. And I was part of the group that had worked on this and getting this land returned to us. And like Nick said, this was a project taken up by Heather Dawn Thompson and community members, just lawyers and researchers. Then they looked in, they met with the community here in Rapid, and it was and the community was saying, this is our land, this is part of us, as part of the boarding school land. So then they researched that, and that's what came to be, and it was. And this parcel of land was actually under control of a federal board called Indian Arts and Crafts Board or something like that. And I was repping from my tribe, the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, and we were always at these meetings over a whole year, probably longer than that, passing resolutions and just going to these meetings and meeting with the board, meeting with BIA, meeting with Interior, and in the final days of the Obama administration, they got it done. They signed it over to us, and this is always has been our land, but in their way, it's our land again. So we did that through unity. We did that from tribes working together. Oglala, Rosebud, Cheyenne River. We all had to come together, and Oglala had to admit that Cheyenne River is the ones that lead the charge. But that wasn't too hard for them, I don't think. But and it was the community and the tribes work together to get this done. And this is what I see today, is having this unity with the Lummi Nation, unity with this relative behind me, and we can get a lot done. We can continue our fight for clean water, to protect Unchimaka. We can defeat these pipelines like we have, like we defeated the Keystone XL pipeline. We all did this. We all did this because we're all together, have this unity. And from what I understand, this Chanwakan, this relative, is gonna go to Washington D.C. and it's gonna stand there. It's gonna be there with our relative Deb Haaland, the Secretary of Interior. And it was said earlier, it does remind me of Tree Day, of Sundance. And right now it's Sundance season, and there's a flatbed and a pickup, and you're gonna get the tree. So and just like when we stand that tree to start our Sundance, we tie our prayers upon it, and that tree stands there for the whole year, for our people, holding our prayers to the Creator. And I see the same thing here when they stand this relative behind me, this totem pole in Washington D.C. It's going to hold our prayers all year long. And who better to look over that than Deb Haaland? So we're happy that this is happening today. And speaking of Deb Haaland, I really think some of our prayers are answered with her appointment, because after all the history and all the things that Indian people have been through, who better to put another native in there to watch over the lands, not only our lands but all the federal lands throughout Turtle Island. So who better to put a grandma, a mother, an auntie, a sister to watch over our lands, to protect Unchimaka, than Deb Haaland, one of our own. So I really think the prayers are being heard, are being answered, and I'm thankful that we had this gathering today, and good to see everybody. And I just wanted to give you a shout out for all the community awareness that Indian Collective is doing with their Land Back campaign. And I like those flags; they're pretty nice. And I like the flag that you guys put up in Rapid City. That was an awesome thing. And I didn't even know about it. I seen the Facebook invite, but I found out about it with my son. He's 17. He was on Instagram, and then he said, "Hey, Dad, look at they put an American flag upside down, and right here in Rapid City." And I was like, "Wow!" And I think he was more excited about that than I was. And that was telling for me, because you're, as a parent, you worry about your child, and if you're raising them right, and for him to be so excited and so proud of for our relatives who put that upside down flag up on July 4th, that was really telling for me, really special to me. So I really thank you for doing that, and I appreciate all of you. And we're going to continue this campaign to get our lands back, just like we got this land that we stand upon back. And we're going to go after, with Deb Haaland in there, and Lexi Biden's, we're going to be working the system to do all we can to get all our lands back. It's really a special thing to see how this all turned out. Been doing the homeless camp up here, and that what better use than that to use for this land that we did get returned. So I just want to thank you for inviting me and bringing me here today. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate bringing their Chanwakan to us and allowing us to send our prayers with you and with it to Washington D.C. And I thank you for this journey that you're making, and I know our prayers will be with you. So with that, Midakyapi, Hamidakyasi.
Can we give another round of applause for Ryan LeBeau? For those of you that can vote, the election's coming up. It's a pretty good one. So maybe we'll get you guys registered for the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe election. At this time, I want to ask one of my relatives to speak on behalf of the Sicangu. Phil Tuigle is the executive director of the Sicangu Treaty Council, and he's been working really hard to continue to organize the Treaty Council in the Sicangu and bringing other treaty councils together to help fight for our land. And it was pretty powerful to be part of a meeting that he hosted that brought together different treaty councils, different IRA governments, different societies, and different grassroots people recently, and that work is continuing on. So at this time, I'll ask Phil to share some words on behalf of the Sicangu.
Aho pilamaela. Leo petu ki trokia yoila. Chonte wastia no peo choose papelo. I shake your hands with a good heart. And the Oyate Ahikilana Naku Wopila Ichoke. I wanna welcome the Lumi Nation to the Chesapa, the sacred Chesapa, the land of the Ocheti Shakonwi, to bring this Chawaka, Chawa Wasku, Akan Wasku, to our area. In our treaty work, when you talk about the treaties made with the U.S. government, you got to go further back than that. We have the 1851 and 1868 treaties that was signed at Fort Laramie, Wyoming. And that secured land within the 5-state region of in the middle of Ochete Shakonwi homelands. It's just a small percentage of our original homelands, but still it was a 5-state area. And it still was supposed to be for our use, for our, where we're supposed to live, hunt, and survive and thrive. But when we talk about land like this land here, it's nice. I'm thankful for the work of the Heather and all of the organizations that were involved here in Rapid City. But you have to remember it was our grandfathers that went to Fort Laramie to sign the treaty for this land right here. It was them that secured this land. And what's even more powerful is something that I call our inherent sovereignty. That is more powerful than anything, is our Lakota language, history, and culture. How we have been living for thousands of years. That is what's powerful. That is why we're organizing the Ochete Shakonwi to come back together, light the fires again, teach the children, speak Lakota to them. So in the future, we talk about that Chokata kia wichoichage, oichage Shakonwi, the future generations, the 7 generations. What we do today has to benefit the 7 generations. That's over 500 years. That's what our grandfathers thought about. Making decisions today that will help our future generations, the unborn, 500 years from now. And that's what the treaty councils, originally, the treaty councils formed because after the treaties were signed, they saw something wrong. When I talk about when we go back into history, we're talking about a race of people that came here under something we call the Papal Bulls. The Europeans were instructed to come here, to take possession of lands, to kill our people, to enslave our people, and to Christianize us. But you know what's more powerful than that is that inherent sovereignty that I just talked about, our ceremonies, our language, our history, our societies, the songs, the singers. For every occasion, I'm sure there's a song that we can sing. And the singers, they're very astute. They will watch what's going on. And they'll sing that proper song when it's time. That is powerful too. Lots and lots of protocols within our Lakota ceremonial ways. We also have Tehincha Sowi, the white buffalo calf woman. She brought the chanumpa to us and told us how to take care of it, to care of each other. These ceremonies, use all 7 ceremonies. Don't use just 4 of them, use all of them. And the women have their ceremonies too that need to be revived. But I can't talk about those. Only the women can talk about those. And the young men, I've always said, the Lakota nations, the young men need to go on the hill now. Humblecha. As parents, as fathers, we have to put our young sons, when they reach, their voices change, they have to go on the hill. There's a reason for this. A lot of our medicine men have took the journey. A lot of our elders have took the journey. Very few left now. That's why our men needs to go on the hill now. One of them might have a gift to help the people in the future. And then we talk about the cycle of life for our children, or for all of us. Each of you have a spirit inside of you. We know where we came from in the Big Dipper, the black hole that we came through there. We visit the Agaleshka or the Kea, the lizard or the turtle constellation. We arrived on Earth as a male or female, and we entered this Tiwahe, this family that we belong to. Then we're part of a Tioshpaya. This is the traditional Lakota government. Tiwahe, Tioshpaya, Oshpaya, Oyate, Ocheti Shakoi. That's what we have to get back to. In order for us to survive in the future, we have to come together. This Chanwa Khan here represents unity across Keawita, Turtle Island. And the Wolakota is the ability to make allies, to become friends, and have respect for each other and each other's ways. Practice the Lakota laws they call it Lakota values. All of these are makes us highly organized, highly structured, highly principled people that we have to reach wisdom. So that someday when it's our time, we can take the spirit journey and find that road back to the stars where our relatives are waiting for us. It is that during this time in your lifetime, in this cycle of life, you go from infancy to youth, to adulthood, to elderly, and that's a full cycle of life. That's when we go back to where we came from, to do the deeds that we need to do during our lifetime here, during this journey. We're having problems at home with our young men, drugs and meth, alcohol, suicides, gangs. And we have the solutions here all along. That's within our language and our ceremonies. They lost their way. We need to bring them back to the circle. And that's what we're doing here today, bringing everybody to the circle. It's not easy to work on those treaty issues. It's hard. It's difficult. But we need to unite, like with Indian Collective, the treaty councils, the IRA councils. We all need to work together now. So those of you that can come to Bismarck on August 10th to 12th, we're having another Ochete Shakoi Omanichie. We have submitted a letter to the White House asking the President Joe Biden to meet with us here in the sacred Black Hills. We asked him to meet with us at Peshla, the center of the Black Hills, the center of the universe. If that happens, we have to get ready. We want to create a new 21st century relationship with the United States of America. So that we want them to honor the treaties that they signed with us, with our grandfathers. Nena, wo api wa kagap sa takomani wichakhalok. We have to control the narrative now. United States, stop dealing with, for our people, stop dealing with the state governments. We have no business dealing with the state governments. Our treaty is with the United States and with our native nations. Look, in South Dakota, we have a governor that's trying to do fireworks on the Black Hills. That's their priorities. And something's happening that is more powerful than us. It's Uchimaka, Mother Earth. They call it global warming. The Washichu cannot take care of Mother Earth. They're neglecting it, so she's getting hotter and hotter. We're in a drought right now. They're not capable of taking care of Mother Earth because something that goes way back in history, and it's called racism and greed. They want the resources here from the Paha Sapa. You have uranium mining. You have gold mining. There's oil and gas projects in Wyoming here on treaty territory, pipelines. And then the state of South Dakota issues water permits or these mining permits on treaty land. We need to stop all that. We need to save the Paha Sapa. This is our altar. This is where we pray. This is our center. This is our Hochoka. So one last thing, I want to propose that we build a hotel and convention center here. Did you see the hotel rates during the summer? So we're gonna get a planning team together and work with the tribes. Let's build our own hotel here. Maybe 500 rooms, 1,000 rooms hotel. And this is gonna be another proposal, is to create a headquarters for the Ochete Shakoi here, so we can take care of our land. And I want to remember all the treaty men that have took the journey. They were in this fight all their lives, and a lot of our treaty councils, remember, they came from the traditional chiefs. When after they signed the treaties, they turned into the treaty councils that have been carrying the fight, the struggle, to preserve the land, to preserve the language, the history, and the culture of the Ochete Shakoi. So when you hear treaty council, those are the descendants of the chiefs that signed the treaties at Fort Laramie. Now, the treaty councils, the IRA governments, we're all working together now. We have to bring it back together and move forward together. Hawaii bringtelo, mitake oyasi.
Hamidakiapi, before we have a representative from the Oglala Sioux tribe come up here, we're gonna end up having the fifth member of the Oglala Sioux tribe here, Justin Puyer, is gonna share a few words on behalf of the tribe. But as things go, I wanted to acknowledge different people in the crowd here that are leaders amongst our people, and I wanted to acknowledge Tui Lula Red Cloud and we're gonna hopefully hear some words from her a little bit later. And also I wanted to acknowledge my Lexi Earl Tall and the Tokala Society sitting in the back there. Lexi Brian Brewer, former leader of the Oglalas, and these societies are coming back, and the Tokala Society plays an important role, and so it feels real good to have our Lekshis and the other members of the Tokala Society here. So I just wanted to acknowledge them as we keep moving forward today. So at this time, again, we heard from the Sichongu, we heard from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, and now we're going to hear from the wild Oglalas. And Justin Puyer, I'll call him Chie, is my older brother. We prayed together many years in different ways, and we probably would have never thought, gee, he's the fifth member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Who would have known? But it's these types of things that the fifth member does on behalf of our people, is to come to things like this and to represent our tribe. And so at this time, I ask Justin to share a few words.
Oh, apetu washte, yuha chante washte na pet usapalo. Gasanicha ho washte imachab, na Justin Puyer imachab. Oglala Lakota wakichuze izapta. Liecha. Before I go any further, I'd like to excuse myself in front of my elders who are sitting out here for me speaking in front of you like this. You have more years of experience with life and more education, but as an elected official, I get called on for things like this. You know, this invitation I got when Misu Nick called me the other day, invited me to come up and talk about this Chawaka here. I did a lot of thinking about it, a lot of praying. And the first thing I come up with, was, like Nick said, all the years and all the days that we spent under the sun. And he set it up to where we have to stand under the sun to talk. But yet he comes dressed in trunks and a sleeveless t-shirt, and he told us to dress good and presentable, but he didn't realize that, Tahanshi, Ryman, and Chie, Phil, I think they've all spent their days under the sun praying to it too. So it's good to feel that strength, especially when we're up here in the Black Hills. This as this has passed through our territory, that the energy and the prayers that we put into this, that when it gets to DC, that it protects and it guides the Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland. Not only her, but all the ones that are there that have a heart for the indigenous community. We do have other natives and people of color in positions up there to make good decisions for us. So, as we put our prayers into this big brother here, that it goes, and the people that are hauling it, the people that presented it, the people who made it, that our prayers from the Lakota community go into that as protection for your future travels across this Turtle Island. As it comes to the Black Hills, we talk about how sacred the Black Hills is to us. The origins of our people coming from Wind Cave, the prayers, the spring ceremonies that we follow from the star constellations, from the teachings that were passed down through generations, going to Black Elk's Peak to do our ceremony there, to go to Peshla to do our ceremonies there, to go to Devil's Tower, Medicine Wheel, Bear Butte. This area is sacred to the Lakota people and all the surrounding tribes. And what the white man is doing to it up here, the big mine that they left up in Lead, just a big open pit that they left. That's like a big gaping wound in Mother Earth. And all this other stuff that they're taking from her up here that we got to continuously fight and, try to put a stop to it. And, as a Lakota, the teachings that we have, how sacred things are to us. Everything we do is sacred. These trees are sacred. These rocks are sacred. This grass, everything has a spirit. And this Chamaka right here carries a spirit. He made himself known to people. So I want to send our prayers to DC with this. And, I want to thank Nick, Indian Collective, everybody else that brought this together. It's a beautiful day to be Lakota. I also want to thank the drum group for bringing their songs. As Phil mentioned, everything we do has a song tied to it. And as a singer, those songs are put in you. And as Phil's mentioned, as they're sitting there, they're paying attention to everything that is said. And in their mind, they're going through, maybe this guy's going to call for a song. So as a singer, you carry that. And that's another teaching. And every other society that we have, everybody has their role in our communities. And it's us as adults growing up, it's us to teach our kids what their role is. The big thing is staying sober and staying off drugs and getting your education. With all of that, getting our language back, getting everything else, we can all be strong again. So with that, I'd like to wish everybody a good day and mitakyase.
Okay, at this time, I want to call forward my mom, or my parents, my mom first, and then my dad. So my mom, Lynette Tubles, and my dad, Philip Whiteman Jr., and they have a nonprofit called Yellowbird Lifeways. And so we talk about reclaiming land, and this is the work that we're doing. And also we have to be building in relearning a lot of these ways and these things on the land that sometimes we have forgotten or have been stripped from us, right, because of trauma, and because we've been forcibly removed. And so with their nonprofit, they do a lot of that work in our community in Lame Deer. My mom runs a food sovereignty program, and this year, probably as a result of COVID, we usually do between like maybe 10 and 15 raised garden beds for our community every year. And then we also help run programming and plant and provide soil and fertilizer and build that and build fences around them. So we do about 10 to 15 every year. And then this year, they built 90 garden beds for our community because people in our community are reconnecting back to that. So I'll hand the mic over and let her share about some of the programming that they have and what is possible when we reclaim our land.
Thank you, Crystal. Mitakiapi, chante washe na pechizapi, na tuwenyakiapi mia. My traditional name is Scouts the Way Woman, which was given to me by my grandparents, Matthew and Nellie Tubles. Many of you probably know them, know who they are, and I was very blessed and fortunate to have been raised by them until I became a teenager, and then I moved away to Montana. And I'm a grandmother, a mother, auntie, sister, and those are the responsibilities I hold in my heart, and those are my greatest responsibilities. As women, one of our greatest responsibility is to nurture our people and to uplift our families and our communities and our people. And so that's the responsibility I hold really close to my heart here. And I just want to thank my daughter for asking me to come up and share here. And I want to acknowledge all of the elders that are out there and all of our people, important people that have come to represent and to come and share. And it's a real honor to be here in the Black Hills, the Paha Sapa. And, you know, it's like coming home. I've been away for a long time. I live in Lame Deer, Montana with my companion, who is one of the chiefs of the Northern Cheyenne people. And as a chief's family, we have a responsibility to help the people. So everything that we do through our nonprofit Yellowbird Lifeways is about helping the people, empowering the people, feeding the people, reconnecting the people back to the land, language, culture, identity. And to me, seeing all these land back signs, that's what land back means to me, is that reconnection, reclaiming, reminding us of our sacredness, reminding us of our connection to the land. And that's a strong connection. We're connected to the land like we were connected to our mother through our umbilical cord. That's how strong the connection is. And so everything that we do, you know, the food sovereignty Crystal mentioned about, you know, that's part of land back, is food sovereignty, reconnecting back to our food systems, back to what grows on Mother Earth. Mother Earth provides everything that we need. She provides us that food, the medicines, everything. And this sacred piece of wood here that is traveling, you know, across this country, bringing attention to our connection to the land and our sacred sites. You know, it's very humbling to be in front of this and to just hear the description of everything on this and what it means. And to listen, you know, I sat back there, we arrived a little bit late. I sat back there and listened. And it just really touched my heart because those are reminders that we need to hear. So this is a reminder to us that we have a responsibility to the land, to our children. And I heard people talking about the 7 generations. We have a responsibility to the next 7 generations. And our people always looked at that. We always, when we pray for those that are not here yet. And we pray for those, you know, the next 7 generations. That's what that means. And, you know, I'm Oglala Lakota. I'm also Cheyenne. And I live, you know, amongst the Cheyenne people. Well, Philip tells me, he said, you're Cheyenne now. But I'm still kind of hanging on to my Lakota side. So, but, you know, those are my people too. And I love our people and our community. And so I work really hard to uplift them. And talking about this is emotional. You know, and as women, that's our gift. We care. We're connected to our emotions and our feelings and our heart and our spirit. And so I just, you know, want to say that much. I'll call Philip up here. And I want to thank Crystal. I want to thank all of Indian Collective and the work that they're doing, the important work that they're doing. You know, and to see all of the young people stepping into their responsibilities, taking on, you know, that responsibility. It makes my heart happy, makes me feel good. It makes me have hope for the future to see these young people stepping up into that. And it tells me that my generation, we must have done something good. You know, we must have instilled in them what we needed to so they can continue on. And everything that we do, we try to focus on what we're for. We try to focus on the good. We try to focus on what's ahead, all of the good that's coming. Because wherever you focus, that's where you're going to end up. So I just want to encourage everybody that is doing this work, let's focus ahead. Let's focus on where we want to end up. Let's focus on all of those dreams and all of the good things that we have in mind that we're planning for in the future for the next 7 generations. Oh, mitakease.
Yeah, ish mom. Okay, I just want to call up my Nehoe, my dad, to come up and maybe share a little bit with us, just our connection and our relationship to the land. And he's who taught me that, my parents. So I have a lot of gratitude today for them showing up and being here. So thank you.
Heyowe kisnaneho. Na zit na zit na nissan na zivistomut. Mohebstomoya. Na zit zihos. That's a duchioto. Na tad zihisto omanet. That's hoyto. Na ne that Paul and zihstos. Nope the middle what's what's done now mat shwadamo toss now mat say has gonna as that's did not hold now mat what's done there. I could just keep on talking, Cheyenne. I don't think any of you guys will understand me. And when I speak my language, I gotta watch what I say, especially on Mother Earth and under the sun, 24/7. I gotta watch what I say, and this language that we're speaking, this universal language, English, German, whatever you want to call it, it's convoluted, and I didn't know what that word meant. And I really struggled in school. They said I was a slow learner and dummy and borderline retarded and all of the above. And I was introduced to the number one management tool in institute education. It's called Shane. And the generational effects of historical trauma and where we're at today. This language, I like using this language. I like talking politics. I like gossiping, and I like all that good stuff. I invented a word that's called reservation-itis, and I can lie honestly. I can go to sleep at night. I can wake up in the morning and feel good about myself. But if I use my language, it holds me accountable. And spirits, they're listening. My mother's listening. My father's listening. So I gotta, I would try to be real careful on what I say using my language. And today, I think they done a survey. Over 80% of our Cheyenne people are under the age of 25. After COVID, we lost a lot of language. We lost a lot of culture. And a lot of the 80%, they're educated. And they got no language no more. No spiritual connection to the land. And I once heard that without language, without the spiritual connection to land, without culture, you are not who you say you are. And today, when I get up every morning and I start using this language to assimilate, and so I can learn how to accept myself and this system of shame, and to be the best that I can be in this system. It's a hierarchy. It's a power structure, and you got to be somebody to be heard. And today I was sitting back there. I see all these smart people here. Seems like I don't belong here. I'm not educated. The education that I received growing up was my grandfather, my grandmother talking language to me. How the Milky Way, the stars, astrology, quantum physics, quantum entanglement, all of that. The earth, the water, the air, the storms, the buffalo, the horse, mu'anha, hadua, map, ha. All of that, the language gave me connection to it. I am the air, I am the land, I am the water, I am the four-legged. I'm all of that. And no eminent domain, no dominion, no ownership. I want you to inhale peace and then exhale love. And what we're looking for is a revolution. And we're looking at evolution. And here, all that time, our culture and our language, it has the solution. And then I heard story. I guess I heard story. Oh, here we go. Testing. Rapid City, they had no electricity. Now we've got no electricity here.
Check. Checkity check.
Good morning. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. I woke up at day's end this morning, and did you guys hear? Hello. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Check. Test 2. Oh, it's a speaker. Check 2.
Hello.
Phillips.
1, 2, 3. All right. I woke up at this day's end this morning, and there was some India people that behind the counter. I looked at them. I said, "We didn't pay for electricity this month." They said, No. We got electricity, but I was sharing a little bit. Maybe I might talk too much. I'm really proud of Crystal and Nick. Crystal said, I want to bring Nick over to the home, and we're going to invite him to the Medicine Deer Rock. And then we even sweat with Taylor. And so I share with them the best I can when I was growing up, Russell Means, Dennis Banks, they're Henry Green Crow, a lot of those during that time, they hang around at the house. And my father used to come to the Nakoyam Bear Lodge and sing Sundance songs. And those guys, they gather over there. I got painter, his name is Austin Two Moons. And he's my instructor. And here, I think it was in 76, they had big gathering. And then they went over to the battlefield. And I think his name was George Magpie. He must have been a welder. He cut out the memorial site. And then later on, they invited my dad to Denver. I guess they're going to create memorial site at battlefield. And he was all ready to sing, but somebody else got up and sang. And my mother said, "It's all right. We got good trip over here, spend the night at Hilton, and then we got to experience this." Well, my dad, he was kind of disappointed, but it's all right. And one time I was way up in Canada. We do horse demonstrations. Know when to step back, know when to step forward, know when to turn away, know when to bow down, and know when to move your shoulders, know when to know where to look at a horse, know where not to look at a horse. We were just doing some real common sense stuff. And then old fella sitting there, he said, "I don't come to any of these, but I'm glad I came to this one." He said, and this was after 3 days of sitting there. He'd be first one there, last one to leave. And then we had talking circle. Here he said, I guess there was this man. He came to this big old building. And these birds were sitting on the rafters. And these birds, they're walking around. And so he started visiting with them. And pretty soon, them birds, they tell him about their grandparent, their parent, and long time ago when they used to be able to soar and fly. But now they're just kind of walking around. And so this man, he took one of them and he started teaching it how to fly again. And pretty soon that little bird, that chick, take a little flight and come back to that man. That man would pet him and show him praise, encouragement. So that little bird flew a little bit longer and come back. And then pretty soon some of those other birds came over and they started flying. And pretty soon they started doing tricks, spinning, turning, twisting, ducking and diving. Man, they just flying all over the place inside that building. And then at the end of the day, he told them that I'm going to leave this door open and you guys can leave anytime you want to. So here, I guess those birds, they just stayed there. Next morning, that man come back. They're still all in there waiting for him. And then pretty soon they start flying again, doing tricks, doing things they used to do back in the day. And then finally he told them, "All right, now I want you guys to go out that door and don't come back here. And I want you guys to go on out there." So they're all looking at him. So they all agreed. So finally they lined up and they all walked out of that building. And he said, when Christianity, boarding schools, this residential schools and this reserves first started implementing in our people, They killed a lot of our children. They mean to us. And now we're doing that to our own selves. And a lot of our young people, they're educated. They can fly, they can soar, but they walk out that building and they're programmed now. And so here, this man was telling me that story. And the reason why I want to share it with you, I was watching and I read a book somewhere about a man named Charles Eastman, how he was civilized, how he was Christianized, how he was educated, how he became once called a savage, and then now he's an educated person. And he was utilized to help create the Berkeley Law and Dawes Act. And that's how I ended up with this name, White Man. My grandfather's name was Vihuk, and he was the first half-breed that come to our people. And they named him Spider, Vihuk. And he was there, help Cheyennes around Fort Laramie, 1868. He was at Sand Creek. He was at the Wounded Knee. And this whole story about him. And when my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad, and now there's me. And we're not that far off nomadic. We're not that far off that time. And they came and allotted our land. They came and gave my grandfather Indian name, English name. They call him Aaron, little white man. And pretty soon they gave him a plow, and they gave him army blankets. But they done a lot to our people, to civilize us, to assimilate us. And when this Charles Eastman had an awakening after Wounded Knee, and what he was, how he was used, and it like he come to a Y, he come to a fork, and I feel that that's where we're all at today. We might be educated, and we might be smart, but our ways, our language, our connection to Mother Earth, it holds the wisdom of the universe. And the future is not the survival of the fittest. It's going to be survival of the wisest. And me, I'm not into fighting. I can fight because I had to learn to fight, not to fight. And I'm not into hate because hate can't not defeat hate. Only love can. And it might sound like I'm from the hippie days. And I kind of spilled CBD ointment on my pants this morning. But I think that the systematic system, this IRA government, BIA, this United States Constitution, all of it, it's designed to do what it's doing. And it was not intended to do what it's doing. Because I got a friend over there, his name's Oren Lyons, and they have the wampum belt. And he told me, it's not supposed to be like this. That eagle, the hole in those arrows. Cheyennes are known as arrow people. And then that leaf, that piece. There's no solution in fighting. And we have to have passive resistance. Like at the Medicine Deer Rock. our people were told not to take lives. You don't cause bloodshed on your relatives. And today, where I'm at, and I used to have a good friend. His name is Albert Whitehat, and I went. He said, "Come, and you're going to talk to the kids, and we're going to learn about your horse demo." So I went there, and he said, "I see that your colors are in a different direction." Yeah, I said, "I see that your colors are in a different direction also too." Uh-huh. He said, "Can you explain to me?" I said, "Well, I can try, but I think you guys are offset backwards." And so I shared with him why white southeast, why red southwest, why yellow northwest, why black northeast. And then he shared me with his colors. And we focused on our differences first. And then he said something to me. He said, "Just think we're one. When we look at what we have in common, we're one." And that's one thing I learned about Albert. His love was unconditional. And I guess that those colors, they represent two-legged, four-legged, six, eight-legged, sky, land, underneath the ground, in the water. I guess they represent even humankind. I guess that I heard somebody talk about bringing bite into the center of the Black Hills. Nobody never notifies the Cheyennes. Cheyenne origin story of astrology, even the black hole, even the stars, our Mother Earth, our Mother the Creator, the Great Race, Bear Buttes, Bear Lodge, and there's other sites here that the Cheyennes were forced to leave. This is their place of origin, and then too, whoever named us Cheyenne and Sioux and Arapaho must have been really smart, because when you name and label somebody, it'll keep them separate. I get kind of ashamed because I was brought up in a system of shame. When I hear my people saying I'm a proud Cheyenne, it makes me sad, because those are the differences that keep us in bondage. And when you look at our differences, when you see in others what you dislike in yourselves, it's coming from that system that educated us and that pays us and that honors us and recognizes us for keeping this cancer alive, this mind virus. And to me, I must have been cursed to be raised with grandparents that still spoke language, that had no eminent domain, no dominion. My grandfather had 4 companions and no ownership, no eminent domain, nothing to fight for, nothing to kill for, everything to live for. I must have been cursed, because I'm in a dilemma right now. Listening this morning, we got a lot to fight for. This is our land. To me, that's foreign. And that's the reason why I like English, because I can lie to you guys honestly. And we don't have no dominion. We don't have no ownership. This beautiful artwork, this beautiful covenant, this beautiful, beautiful message that's going to be taken to this lady that's administrating this genocide, this lady that's administrating historical trauma, this lady that's administrating and represent this genocide. This beautiful artwork is going to go to her. You cannot cry. You cannot cry on the shoulders of the man that stole your land. That's what I heard one time. I went to a 7th generation gathering, and there was a man there that was talking like that. You cannot cry on the shoulders of the person that stole your land. And when Dennis Banks and Russell Means used to come to the house, I was just a kid then. Austin Two Moons and all those guys. And we even went to Denver, that first AIM gathering out there. My dad took 2 Cheyenne songs, they turned them into AIM songs. And we used to have Henry Greencrow from Minnesota, Dennis Banks, them guys. And to me, I saw this once. Kind of reminds me of what is it? What's that guy that sings Credence? Deja Vu. I think I've been through this once before. I love you guys, and there's nothing you can do about it. Don't get stuck in the fight. This beautiful artwork that's going to remind that woman of her duties, either to administrate more of the same or to take a higher level. There's no claiming. There's no reclaiming. The Creator put us here. There's no fight. There's no win in the fight. Reclaim yourself. Reclaim your language. Our language has the cure, it has the solution, it has the vaccine. It has everything. But you don't need me to tell you that, because all of you guys got common sense. I want to sing a song, and I hope I didn't say anything to disrespect myself or the organizers or anybody. But sometimes it takes extreme action for extreme condition. And I learned to box. And sometimes you gotta know when to throw a punch, know when to step back. I wrote Bucking Horses, and I know when to let go and nod and ride. All that thinking, all those good intentions, all that time sitting in the chute, it ain't gonna do no good. You gotta nod and ride. And maybe that's what this Crystal and Nick, maybe that's what they're all about. And I honor them, because I saw this once before. It's almost like a deja vu. Stand on this side of me. Hey, oh, yo, ha, ya, hey, ya, hey, ha, ya, hey, ha, ya, hey, oh, yo, ha, ya, hey, ya, ya, hey, oh, yo, ha, ya, hey, ha, ya, hey, oh, yo, 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 ha, ya, ya, hey, ya, hey, ha, ya, hey, oh, yo, ha, ya, ha, hey, ya, hey, oh, yo, ha, ya, yo, hey, ha, yo, hey, oh, yo, ha, ya, hey, hey, oh, yo, hey, hey, oh, yo, hey, hey, oh, yo, hey, hey, oh, yo, hey, I sing that song to my good friend, and I told him that that's our song. He said, "That's our song. That's two people." And I said, "No, that's our song." He said, "Come on now." And I said, "Well, what does Midakiyase mean?" We are relatives. Those are our songs.
Wait, whose songs are those? Hey, want to say Wopula for the songs and for all of the wisdom that was been shared today. You know, there's been a lot of good things that were shared. And I just kind of want to share how the rest of the time is going to go here. First of all, we have in the back, we have Edwina fills the pipe, and she's doing body work, especially for the folks that have been traveling. The folks who have been traveling on this journey, it's one of the ways that we wanted to look after you and care for you. So when you get a chance throughout the day, anytime over the next couple hours, make your way back. And there's some healing work going on, especially if you're sitting in these cars for a long time. We're hear from one of our Itkanchas, one of our chiefs here in a few minutes. And then after that, we're gonna share a meal prayer. And then after that, we're going to feed the people. And then after we eat, I ask people a lot of times we eat and then we head to Deadwood or wherever we end up going to. So I ask people after we eat to stay because we're gonna do some final words from some of our elders, final prayers and blessings, and we're gonna send off this Chanwaka and this carving family in a good way. So I encourage us all to stay till after we're done eating, and we'll close out in that way. So I know some people are like, "What are we doing? How long do I have to sit in here burning up under the sun?" So I wanted to explain a little bit about what we're doing here. But at this time, it's my honor to introduce somebody that I look up to, and I'm gonna introduce Chief Henry Red Cloud, and have ask him to say a few words. He's a chief amongst our people, from the Red Cloud family, but also he does all this great work for the people, running Lakota Solar Enterprises, has made a way for our people. And then recently, it came to my attention that he got a honorary doctorate degree from Washington College for public service and the service that he does on behalf of the people. And so he's honored both in our traditional Lakota way, and he's so honored in the way of academia. And so it's my great honor to share with you and to introduce to you Chief Henry Red Cloud.
Ho, Nick. Ho, wopila chicha. Tokea, I would like to give thanks to the Great Spirit for giving us a wonderful day and enabling us to gather here in the sacred Black Hills here. I would like to recognize the Lumbee Nation. Doug, back there, would you please stand up? His brother did the carving for us here as the gift headed out to where the sun rises. So thank you for that, for bringing the awareness and bringing all these important things to the forefront. I would like to recognize the Indian Collective for organizing and bringing us together and bringing us home here within Paha Sapa. And I would like to extend that on to each and every one. I would like to recognize the women's societies. And then I would like to recognize the Tokalas Society. As well as I would like to recognize the veteran societies that are here. And would like to recognize each and every one of you. You're very important. The different tribes, the representatives from across the Ocheti Shakoi to recognize you. And this is a wonderful thing to gather to bring awareness. My name's Henry Retcloud. I come from Machbialuta. I come from Retcloud and Kills Enemy. And on my mother's side, I come from Ironheart and Ghost Bear. That's where I come from, and I represent the bad face band of the Oglalas. They're Tioshpa within the Oglalas. They say ugly face. That's where I come from. That's where my blood comes from, and so I'm very happy to be here. And would like to extend to the Ocheti Shakoi that's here, welcome home. Lenny Tchopi, this is yours. All that you see, it belongs to each and every one of you. The Ocheti Shakoi as well as the Cheyennes, the southern Cheyenne as the Arapahoes. There's many of us. We stretch from Minnesota to the Montana, Dakotas, down into Nebraska, clear on into Canada. There's many of us. Back in the day, we were united. And I would like to thank Indian Collective for bringing us together, because this is sparking that unification that we need to be. We need to be at. Because I feel and I pray about it, and I feel that Chesapa is going to be turned to us. So we have to have a plan. We have to have a plan. I talked to various people, and they talked about the Ocheti Shakoi co-managing the parts here. And that's our foot inside the door. It's been well over 160 years trying to rid our sacred land back. And I believe with the current administration out there to the east where the sun, they're going to be able to help us to achieve this. So within that time, let's start to organize. Let's start to unify. Let's start to come together. Because when these treaties were made, the boundary of the 1850s Treaty of 1868, those grandfathers put their sacred pipes together. The grandmothers, they put their sacred pipes together and they offered prayer. They offered prayer that things are going to go back to the way that it used to be, coexisting with the earth again upon 7 generations. So we're at their point now. We got the 7 generation crawling and walking amongst us. So it's really important that we start to unify as the nation, as the strongest nation that across the country here, especially the northern plains. The government has initiated 2 treaties. They initiated these. We didn't. The ancestors didn't. They initiated them. They wanted that. They put the boundary in place, which we all should stand behind. Then they put the peace treaty to not have war anymore because our ancestors defeated the United States government on the battlefield. And they wanted to initiate the. So it's been a battle for the ancestors ever since that time to current, today. There's been a few $1 billion offered to the tribes for this, Makocha, for the land here. But no. Tony Sapa ki will preab never to sell the Black Hills. So today, that's where we're at. A unification coming together, approaching the current administration over there. I think we're going to get help. We're going to get some, what we need to do is get involved in co-managing the parks. With that, eventually the federal government back off and it'll be us, the Ocheti Ishakoin. So I'm really happy to be here, see everybody here, and seeing the younger ones here, because all of this is being done on behalf of your future generations, and it's really important that we look out and we take care of our women folk, from young to old. Within the past 4 or 5 months, 14 Native girls became missing here, right here within the Rapid City area. Don't know where they're at. Families looking for them. We all have, daughters, granddaughters. We have to start coming together and starting to look out for one another. Look out the surrounding that you're in, wherever that you may be, Walmart, wherever. Look out, always be on the lookout. I tell my daughters this. I got 3 daughters living here in Rapid City here. They're working. They got young ones and that, and I'm always telling them, be careful. Look around your surroundings. It's an important issue. It's not only happening here, but throughout Indian countries. There's 574 federally recognized tribes. This is happening throughout Indian country. So it's time that we start to really buckle down and start to unify, come together. Share one another, share things, support one another, because we're all experts. You're all experts. You're all good at something. And then bringing that together, it's just going to be ultimately strong. A lot of things can happen. A lot of things can get done. It's our responsibility as this current, generation. When they put their pipes together, the ancestors, and said the prayer on everything to be well and good within the the 7 generation hetya. So we're in that prayer when they put their pipes together. So we don't want to be known as a generation that didn't do anything. Things like this coming together, bringing awareness, Doug, Nick here, and each and every one of you, all the societies, tribal council, tribal representatives. We need to unite. We need to come together. That way, walking within this prayer, we're fulfilling that for the ancestors. You know, I stumbled, I realized, I understood through my culture, language, ceremony, song, dance, all of this way brought me to sacredness, and then brought me to myself as being saying, I'm as well sacred, I'm spirit too. So with that understanding, I start to rebuild myself. I just want to share this with you, so maybe you can try this. But unknowingly, you rebuild yourself. Once you rebuild yourself, your spouse, your children, your community, Tioshbai, tribe, and nation, and all that can be rebuilt. So I encourage you guys to just keep on moving forward. Be that champion that you are, and just keep moving forward. Start to partner up, start to unite, start to come together. It's that important time. It's been many years now, a lot of years, since the since 1851. Many years now. It's us that got to take it to the next step. And how do we do that? We unify. We come together. We share our expertise. Because the current way that we're going, it's not going to work. It may come to that point where our way of life is no more. When we want to be Ohinia, we want to live forever. Ohinia. That's where we want to be. That's where we want our children to be. Our generations. Ohinia. Forever. So I'm real thankful to be here. Real thankful to be home here on the ancestral land. On the land that we're going to get back. And we're going to rebuild and build it better. That's our responsibility. That's what we should be thinking about. So I greet each and every one of you with a warm handshake, Washichu style, but Lakota style, I rub your face. That's how we met. That's how we greeted one another, by rubbing each other's face in an honorable way. There was no handshake or no power or bump or anything like that. It was rubbing each other's face and then giving that power hug. So I encourage you guys just to keep moving forward. Keep moving forward, because we can do it. We can do it. I'm gonna take some of our sacred earth here, the dirt, the land that we're all sitting on, walking on that. I'm gonna take some of that and put it on a base of this totem pole. That way, once it reaches its journey, it's going to be good over there. Everything's going to be, we'll all be recognized. We're all going to see our the decision makers are then going to look our way. So I'm going to put some of this sacred dirt down over here, and I really want to say aho wopila chichab. Everybody coming together, all the songs, the drum group, everybody that's here, from the young to the old. It's good to see my cousin Lula. She's here. She's a matriarch of the Machbia Luta Tchatioshpai, the family there. So with that, I'm gonna add some of this sacredness, because this Makocheki Lebakhan, it's sacred to us. Chale, I'm going to take some and rub it on a base. That way, when it stands up, it's going to be proud. People are going to look at indigenous issues and start to recognize things. Maybe bring the history of native indigenous people back into schools, and that I don't think it's ever had. People don't know. People don't know who used to live in certain parts of this country. People don't know that. It was never taught. So, aho wopilai chicha. Thank you. Aho.
this time, I'll be offering the meal prayer. Wocheke wachimam kia wopela chichapelo. Ho te o kontra ka leon pete ku trokia won shila chichila yon